Christmas and everything. We started with the dialysis, but which dialysis? Cervical dialysis? Kegel's dialysis. But we have changed our procedure. That is what we are going to explain. Then let us. She is doing MD Psychiatry in Aurangabad Ghati Medical College, Government Medical College. Okay.
Okay, sir.
She is an ISMPR.
So, Mary, this is not nepotism. This is natural. It is coming from.
Thank you, sir. I'll start with my topic. I'll be taking vaginismus. So, most of you, I don't know how familiar you are with the topic. So, I'll give you a brief introduction to what it is. So, first of all, as you all are from different departments, we never know as to what aspect we should consider this. Is it a gynecological entity? Is it a psychological entity? For me, I think that we shouldn't classify this as this or that, because always sexual dysfunction should not be categorized into departments. It is always overlapping, and vaginismus is a psychological disorder with a gynecological presentation. Why is it so? As you have seen, when the topic of female dysfunction came, there was a lot of discussion on shame, lot of discussion on the psychological aspect of female dysfunctions. Why is it not that much discussed in male? Because for us as females, when the topic of sex comes, it's a taboo. It's a much more bigger taboo than what it is for male. So, vaginismus has been discussed further in history by Sims, by Becks, by Masters and Johnson. Sims himself has, from personal, he has said that there is no disease capable of producing so much unhappiness to both parties, the male and the female, of the marriage contract, and I am happy to say that I know of no serious trouble that can be cured seriously. It's a bit more to say that it's cured, so 100% it's not so true. And Beck said that it's an interesting illustration of scientific neglect. And Masters and Johnson has done a study in the vaginismus patients, and they say that they have given 100% success rate in the treatment of vaginismus. Is this because there was a diagnostic problem as to whether the female has been diagnosed with vaginismus, or was she having some other kind of problem? That is not really done clearly, and in earlier literature also it has been discussed. So what is vaginismus? In ICD, it has been categorized as a pain disorder, that is a sexual dysfunction comprised of spasm of pelvic floor muscles that surround the vagina, causing the occlusion of vaginal opening, with penile entry being either impossible or painful. Let me just say the spasm of pelvic floor muscle is very much of importance there, because whenever a patient comes to you and whenever you do a pervaginal examination, and one thing is that you won't be able to insert your finger whenever you won't be able to do the pervaginal examination. Even if you do, and even if you insert the finger, you can feel that there is the tightening of the pelvic floor muscle. So that is to be noted. The spasm is the main point here. And in DSM, actually what DSM did was, this time around, they combined dyspareunia and vaginismus together. So that is a gross thing. Why? Because we have to differentiate dyspareunia and vaginismus. Dyspareunia, as in, it is a superficial pain. But vaginismus, when it comes from the muscles. It's a deep pain. I'm not saying that dyspareunia can lead to PVD, that is, it is due to PVD. It can be a deep-seated pain. When it's a grading goes far as grade 4, there will be a deep pain. But the thing is that vaginismus, there is a spasm from the muscle, and there is a pain that generates from there. That is, in dyspareunia, as we say, the pain is between the legs. But in vaginismus, the pain is between the ears, because the pain is generated from the brain. So, vaginal spasm was understood as dysfunctional because it causes the muscles of perineum and the outer third of the vagina to contract in an inward mode spasm, embedding the rhythmic contractions normally associated with sexual excitement. So, in sexual excitement, female body, there will be a rhythmic contraction from the muscles. But apart from this, there is an involuntary contraction from the perineal muscles, and the outer third of the vagina also contracts. So what happens is that there should be if you consider that female vagina as a lock or a tala, you need a key to open it. So if you just go on to break the door, there will be dysfunction, there will be trauma, the female will be traumatized from it. What the female should do is she should allow So more of the fact is that whenever you fling your arm against your face, there is a menace reflex. So whenever someone forces the female into sexual relation, there will be a menace reflex, that is, she will guard against whatever is going to happen to her. This phobic avoidance, involuntary pelvic muscle contraction, and anticipation, fear, experience or pain. Structural or other physical abnormalities must be ruled out or addressed. So what happens in vaginismus? This is what everyone, that is, there are 4 compounds, that is inability to have vaginal intercourse. There will be marked genitopelvic pain, marked fear of vaginal intercourse, and marked tensing or tightening of the pelvic floor muscles. Now, as we all know, whenever we diagnose something, we need evidence. So there are some research, that is, we have done electromyography studies have been done where there is shown that there have been pelvic floor muscle activities has been seen. Now, as Brahmabhat sir has shown, history taking is of utmost importance here. So why do we need history in vaginismus? Vaginismus is, as I showed, it's a psychological disorder. So to understand the psychology behind it, you need a proper history. Most of the female have an aversion, have a phobia towards the sex. So where does this come from? So if there is a childhood sexual abuse, because she has suffered so much from that, she will be like, sex is something that is very traumatizing. And the concept of sex. So it can come from family members, it can come from the friends, what the concept of sex is. Sex तो इतना बुरा चीज़ है, कोई बात ही नहीं करना चाहिए उसके बारे में. So that is something that we should discuss. Aversion to sex, and you should always ask for masturbation history. So whenever you ask to a female about masturbation history, what I have experienced is that everyone will say, no, मैं तो ऐसे नहीं करती हूँ. अरे क्या है? Masturbation क्या है? That is something that every single female will say. What you should ask is, कितने बार करते हो? So maybe she will give the answer. Even that there is some resistance, but still after asking how many times have you done it? Have you done it before your that is marriage? She will say that yes, ma'am, I have done it. I have done it. And have you experienced orgasm? Have you experienced orgasm after doing the masturbation? She will say that, ma'am, yes, I have experienced. But there is always the thing of protecting one's partner. That is, mostly people will come after the marriage, so she will be at the peak where her husband is everything for her. So she will be like that, no ma'am, my husband satisfies me more than the masturbation. So that is also seen here. So masturbation history is needed. Sexual education, that is, has she received proper sexual education? So in India, as we know, it's a taboo topic. Even when there was a need of talking about sexual education, that is, taking sexual education in the school, there was problems like every conservative political parties, every conservative people will say like, no, that is not something that should be discussed. So sexual education proper should be needed. The history about whether foreplay is done or not, whether there is intimacy issues between the partners, and whether there is any other marital issues. So as we all know, in India, what happens is one just doesn't marry to each other's partner, one also marries to the family of the partner. So whether there is any issues with the mother-in-law. Mostly I have seen many patients where the mother-in-law has caused so much ruckus so that the female has to work from Subaki 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. and she has to return to bedroom to engage in coitus. So she will be tired after all of this and she have to satisfy her husband also. So there comes the marital issues and the familial issues. So what happens is this is where comes our Indian culture, that is high prevalence rates of vaginismus has been noted in Eastern culture as compared to Western culture. What is the diagnostic protocol? So there is no single test like a USG. Electromyography can be done, but that is what we usually do. So empirically standard diagnostic protocol of vaginal muscle spasm, there is no such thing. A multi-dimensional diagnostic framework should be done. What all should we look for? Muscle spasm, high muscle tone, pain, fear of pain, or behavior avoidance. So there are two types of vaginismus. One is the primary vaginismus or lifelong vaginismus, and the second is the secondary vaginismus, which is associated with diseases that are PVD, and it is what is called as acquired, because first, in lifelong vaginismus, patient hasn't ever had, she has an unconsummated marriage. And in the second case, what happens is, she had consummated her marriage, she has had her sexual intercourse, but later what happens is that she had a disease, she had dyspareunia, and later she associates sex with pain, because she had pain later. So that's what secondary vaginismus is. So how does the patient present? So mostly it presents with unconsummated marriage. What happens is orgasmic difficulties while a female, they present less, and people with vaginismus present more. Why? Because infertility is an issue in vaginismus. The male partner is not even able to penetrate to deposit the sperm. There is a condition where there is a possible pregnancy, but the thing is that when the male partner is not able to penetrate and there won't be a pregnancy, the patient will come with you for infertility. So when the patient comes with infertility, that's why orgasmic disorders while females is vaginismus while females, they will approach you more. And there is the male partner will approach with the issues of female partner, that is complaining of pain even before penetration. There is a fear, and also whenever you ask the patient that let's do a local examination and see what is the problem, she will say, नहीं मैम आज तो मुझे पीरियड्स है मैम, आज तो नहीं कर सकते, मैं कल तैयार होकर आती हूँ, मैं आज तो नहीं आ सकती मैम. ऐसे there will be any number of reasons that she will deny doing a gynecological examination. So what happens is, even if you send her home and ask her to come after birth, she will take long and later present after years. So what is this fear component? What is she fearful to? She is fearful to pain. Fear of pain was a primary reason reported by women with vaginismus. So there has a issue that these vaginismus patients, they actually present they give more anxiety issues. There is a women with vaginismus report fear of vaginal penetration and associated pain, and display high levels of emotional distress during vaginal penetration situation. There has been issues when you try to just touch the vulva of the patient and she will just लात मार देती है, तो ऐसे हो जाते हैं. And women with vaginismus also tend to avoid situation involving vaginal penetration, that is gynecological examination, menstrual cup insertion, and sexual intercourse. So what I said here, there is a virgin Mary syndrome where there is no proper insertion of the penis, but on the area that is in the vulva, when there is a deposition of semen, the sperm will go and there is chance impregnation of the female. And always, whenever this female presents, she will always opt for operative delivery. So, understanding the vaginismus as a phobic response, attention needed to focus on the deeper cognitive and emotional meanings behind this physical symptom. Feeling of threat can elicit pelvic floor reaction in all women. That's what I'm saying. It's a Meniere's reflex. That is, whenever there is a threat, she will always close it. So, indicating the involuntary spasm of pelvic floor may be part of wider defense reaction of the body to stress. The pelvis and the pelvic floor receive neural input from both autonomic nervous system. So that's why this happens. And vaginismus therefore may be a phobic reflexive response to protect the individual against actual, perceived or anticipated harm of vaginal penetration. So women with vaginismus have scored more on anxiety test. They respond to sexual stimuli with more disgust. So this is a circuitry of fear. So why this fear is there? How is this fear generated? As you can see, this fear is generated by peer group or by family members. Whatever in Indian scenario, what happens is, whenever a close friend marries off, the friends of them will ask, what happened? So what they will say, no, it was very painful. So that fear is generated inside her. So this is going to be very painful. So the peer group has an important role in it. And family members also who have that interpretation that sex is something very bad. So what happens, what is it, the vaginismus or any female sexual dysfunction, family creates it. It does not cause family dysfunction. Family dysfunction causes vaginismus. Anticipation of fear, it's a hypervigilance and negative appraisal of sex is seen, and there will be avoidance behavior. So what are the etiological factors? There are psychological and physical trauma, relationship factors like dysfunctional couple relationships, attitude and beliefs about sex and sexuality. So what are the negative sexual attitudes? As I already said, sex is dangerous, pregnancy is frightening, you can be damaged, childbirth is frightening, sex is painful, sex is undignified, contraception is frightening. So all of these taboos, all of these myths, they all originate as a part of this negative sexual attitude. Associated with disturbance of body image or sexual and gender roles for women, there is often called that women should be inferior. That thought can also lead to this. So it's not needed that the experience should be a direct experience. They can hear about anecdotes from others also. Social, cultural and religious context. As you know, in some countries there is a cultural thing called you will take a white bed sheet, and on the first night you will have to have that stain of blood shown. So what will the female think? There is a bleeding, there is a pain. So that's what etches on her mind. So the sex should be painful. That's what she thinks. In childhood, if there is a sexual or physical abuse, biological factors, there are many hymenal congenital abnormalities. These are all gynecological part where she should be diagnosed first. The thing is that whether the pelvic floor dysfunction is a predisposing factor or the defining symptom. There is seen that hypertonicity and reduced muscle control can cause vaginismus. Vaginismus causes this. That's a question. Now treatment part, there have been many treatment in the history. First of all, as I've told you, it's a psychological issue. So psychoanalysis is one, pelvic floor physiotherapy, pharmacological treatment, general psychotherapy, sex and cognitive behavioral therapy, inserting artificial penis into vagina under general anesthesia, systemic desensitization by physical approach. The psychoanalysis is a behavioral-oriented sex therapy, so that is something we will ask the psychologist, or we can ask them what is going through her. So we'll have to analyze what the situation is and then go through it. So pharmacological, as we have already discussed, whether anxiolytic medication should be given or not. So that basic problem is anxiety. So whether anxiolytic medication should be given or not is a question. And there is a botulinum toxin has also been introduced in the case of vaginismus. Botulinum toxin? General psychotherapy. The psychological treatments are often based on the notion that vaginismus results from marital problems, negative sexual experiences in childhood, or lack of sexual education. Couples therapy, vaginismus is conceptualized as a problem for the couple, and the treatment tends to be focused on the couple's sexual history and any other problems that may be occurring in the relationship. So Masters and Johnson 1970s, they said that they had treated vaginismus and had 100% success rate. That's where the issue of diagnosis, whether it was proper vaginismus or not, comes into handy. So what they did was, they first showed that the physical demonstration of vaginal muscle spasm to the patient, they showed that this spasm is there, present there. And then what they did was, they inserted series of dilated or graduated sizes at home, guided by both patient and a partner. So what happened here was desensitizing was occurring. So this treatment also emphasized the importance of education regarding sexual function. Another method is when you insert vagina under the artificial penis into the vagina under general anesthesia. I have no experience in this regard. So it says that during the recovery from general anesthesia, patient is convinced that nothing has happened in her vagina. Nothing has happened in the sense no trauma or no problem has occurred to the vagina even after the insertion of the penis, that is vibrator or dilator. So as you know, vaginismus is a phobia. So how do we deal with phobia? There is two methods. That is, it is a phobia can be either it can be treated by flooding or desensitization. Flooding is something that is something that should not be talked in vaginismus, because it is something that is legally not possible. Patient is exposed directly and rather abruptly to the fear-inducing stimuli in flooding. So this abruption cannot be used in sex-related issues. It can always lead to legal issues. There comes many moral issues, legal issues, and we may further scar this patient for the lifelong. she is under trauma, she is having trauma, and she has experienced so much issues, and you're, as a doctor, you are flooding her with something that she is discussed again. So there is issue that comes with flooding. Next is what we have done in our clinic is systematic desensitization by physical approach. In this, there are actually, what is systematic desensitization? The client is gradually exposed to a thing or situation that causes her fear. The exposure happens in such a way that client is slowly exposed to a thing that scares her in the progressive increments, keeping her below a threshold where fear and panic would start. So here, as you know, she is fearful of penetration, but clitoral stimulation is something that will cause her orgasm, that will stimulate her. So then if penetration plus clitoral stimulation can be combined, then penetration can also be enjoyed by the patient. So what are the 6 steps in systematic desensitization? That is, first is counseling and consent. Whenever it's in female and male in sexuality, what is mainly important is a consent, because in starting a practice or starting anything, consent is something, especially when it is related to sex, there can be many legal issues. And after consent, there is a pre and post counseling. So pre-counseling before the procedure and post-counseling after the procedure, so that we can understand the situation, evaluate the situation, and make the patient understand what she has gone through. So first is counseling. Written consent should be taken. In the first, that is pre-counseling, what we should do is educate the couple about sex, how the sex is done, what are the organs involved, how the stimulation should be done, what is foreplay. Everything should be explained to the patient. And you should also explain the mode of treatment, what the doctor, as a doctor, you are going to do. Step 2 is you have taken the patient into your examination room, or as we say, there is a IU room or whatever room we have taken her into. Inform the patient that you are not going to insert anything into her vagina. You will be simply touching the vulva only. So if it is a severe stage of vaginismus, the patient won't even let you touch the vulva. So she will just she will just be so distressed, and she will ask, or she cry to her husband and say that, please take me, I don't want to do that. But you will have to calm her down, and then tell her that you will not insert anything. For the first step, you will only be touching her vulva. So gentle and smooth touching of vulva is a must for gaining trust. So as a doctor also, you should be a bit अच्छे से रहना चाहिए. That is, you shouldn't be so crude to the method. You should be gentle, and smooth touching of the vulva must be done. Husband can also stimulate the patient. That is, after the doctor has showed that husband she won't be doing anything, she is not under distress, you'll ask the husband, just come forward and just touch the vulva of your wife. So after this, she has been calmed down. Ask her if there is any pain or discomfort now, if she is feeling anything. If the patient feels comfortable, do the same procedure, that is touching the vulva only, for 5 to 10 minutes. And then you can move on to clitoral stimulation. So how to stimulate the patient? You'll have to hold the clitoris. It's a thread-like portion. You'll have to take it between that is thumb and the pointing finger, and hold the clitoris with 2 fingers and stimulate it with a to and fro motion. And ask the patient whether she's been sexually excited or not. After completing this, check for lubrication. Sometimes you will get a thin bit of secretion at the vaginal orifice or something, and then if the lubrication is present, then it's a good sign, because the patient has been stimulated. And clitoral stimulation, it can also be done with we normally with fingers, but there is also an instrument, that is vibrator. You can just touch the vibrator over in the clitoris, and stimulation can be achieved. If the patient feels comfortable, continue the clitoral stimulation. Now what happens is, if the patient is stimulated, then and then only insert the finger in the vagina, saying that she is not entering anything into it, but examining the vagina. So he's not inserting any dilator, he's not inserting anything, he's just keeping the, I will mostly say to the patient, मैं just हाथ बाहर ही रख रही हूँ, बस बाहर रखो. So you have to gain her trust. Gain her trust, so you're not going to insert anything beyond it. And if clitoral stimulation is proper and reaches to the excitement stage, her brain will allow finger insertion inside the vagina. If there is mostly what happens is patient will not allow you to, in the first setup, the patient won't allow you to enter into vagina, and you'll then have to go back to step 3, that is clitoral stimulation, because many times patient won't be properly stimulated and she will be under distress. The setting also is a problem, right? You are not at home, she is being stimulated, whether she is having any thoughts or not, you never know. So you'll have to go back to step 3 and relax the patient and then go back to the step 4, that is finger is completely entered into the vagina, ask her whether it is comfortable or painful and convince her nothing has happened to her vagina. Patient is, whenever you insert a finger, you ask the patient, just look at it. Are you feeling any distress? Has something happened to your vagina? Has any bleeding occurred now? So from this you can see that patient has been relaxed a bit and okay, nothing has happened as of right now. And step from, now she is convinced that penetration of finger does not harm her, then proceed her with insertion of dilator or artificial penis or dildo. About the dilating procedure, Dr. Ajay will further say.
Before going to dilator therapy, I invite Dr. Poonam Misra. I want to ask her 2-3 questions. Please come, madam. Madam, this botulinum injection.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for having trust in me.
Botulinum injection is used for vaginismus therapy. How you are doing it and how costly it is, whether it is 100% is successful. That much.
Yes, sir. I was listening to a wonderful presentation of Dr. Mary. So I just wanted to tell you that vaginismus, the first thing that rule out the local pathology. Like I got a couple in which there was uterus didelphys and she was not diagnosed, 2 vagina from the beginning, 2 vagina, 2 uteri, and she was not able to be consummated. And the reason was, so many times if there is some problem with the couple and the lady is willing to be consummated, then only lignocaine jelly does everything. But after that, if you have confirmed the diagnosis that yes, it is a case of real vaginismus in which the lady is willing, the couple themselves have tried, but yes, she is not able to be consummated, or she wants to be consummated, but yes, there is no possibilities there. Then she comes to you and then the patient very much helps you in the examination. There all the phobia and everything has gone. There comes the role of botulinum toxin. Botox is a trade name actually. Botulinum toxin A has got the property of temporarily paralyzing the muscles. So that is why the aesthetic physicians, the dermatologists, they are using it on face, the forehead, all those wrinkles are gone with the use of this Botox. The same Botox. Like you have to decide the severity, examine the patient, emptied bladder, you are examining the perivaginal muscles, the superficial muscles, ischiocavernosus and bulbocavernosus, those 2 muscles, and sometimes a bit deeper the levator and eye part also comes to play the role in vaginismus. The muscles are spastic. You can feel that. You are entering with your finger and you can feel that she is wincing. She is having pain in her posterior faucet area, in her lateral vaginal muscles, and there you have to decide. Like many times I use 100 units of botulinum toxin, that Botox, which comes in the powdered form. The transparent powder form is there in the market. That 100 ml is to be prepared with normal saline. So what I do, it is taken into insulin syringes, 40 unit and 20 unit, 2.5 ml of normal saline. So you prepare 3 syringes, 50, 40 and 20. Now you are ready with the muscles, 50 units on one side, 50 units on one side. You can go from outside, like I'm not having any slide with me. So outside the lateral part of like perivaginal muscle, the vestibule is there in front of you. the lateral part, the right lateral part, the left lateral part, and you should know that the point at which this botulinum toxin is injected, it spreads around 2 centimeters all over. So you have to be 2 centimeters minimum away from the anal pore. The puborectalis muscle should not be touched, so that otherwise what will happen, she will be incontinent. The fecal incontinence would be there for 3 to 6 months. So you have to be more lateral. So what we advocate is 2, 3 and 4 o'clock position, one side, and 9, 10, 7, 8 and 9 o'clock position. You can divide like that. You don't have to go towards the upper side, the sphincter urethra should not be touched, and you don't have to go to the 6 o'clock position. The puborectalis should not be touched. And the remaining part, those lateral muscles are paralyzed with the help of botulinum toxin, and wonderful results are there. The day she is given under short GA, you have to inject this injection, and after 1 or 2, maximum result is gained in 7 days. 7 to 15 days, the aesthetic physician also tells the clients to get the maximum result on face. The same result is there in 7 to 15 days. And once, like dilators, you are using dilators to make her tuned with the penetration. The gradual dilatation with gradually increasing sizes of dilators, once they are being used just to tune her. So once the perivaginal muscles are paralyzed and she is consummated, and now she is having regular sex in her marital life, then there is no need to repeat the same injection after 6 months, as it is required in other procedures.
How much it costs, ma'am?
Different companies are there in the market. So 100 units are the MRP is between 15,000 to 22,000.
22,000.
Yeah, per units.
Per course.
100 single course is made. Single course.
Medicine cost.
Medicine.
No, what I am asking total cost.
So that is up to you, sir. If you are
That's the price I cancel. How much you are charging?
if someone is
We charge around 50,000 rupees.
50%,
You
okay.
want anesthetics also, because when
Yeah,
you do this
actually.
thing, we said it.
Okay.
I am charging 35,000.
35%, okay.
Yeah.
The cost comes to about 35%.
What kind of practitioner are you?
Thanks,
Working
madam.
with
Thanks, madam. You have explained it very nice. So 35%, and we can say it is 100% is cure.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. एक छोटी सिंदूर का दाम तुझे क्या जाए? See, that is what I am asking. I have developed this sort of procedure with a Foley's catheter. It costs somewhat about 80 rupees only. Foley's catheter. Foley's catheter. That I am going to explain. Okay, एक छोटी सिंदूर का दाम. This vaginal dilate is a tube-shaped device. Then it's a gradual dilate, as Dr. Mary explained that. As time is less, I am going to. No such patient will insert vaginal dilator. Suppose we are giving vaginal dilator, I am not arguing. Suppose we are giving vaginal dilator, you insert it in your home or somewhere else. She will not do it. She will come back, sir, try here. You didn't do it. Okay. Then forceful insertion of vaginal dilator by health worker will result in discontinuing the treatment also. Counseling and foreplay, which Dr. Mary explained, it will be better. Okay. Then I start with earbud or swab stick. Then what I am asking, I give them ear tablet, just touch the vagina. Nothing will happen because you can put it in the ear, nothing is happening. Like that, just touch it. Just try to put it inside. Okay. This is an equipment which is developed in USA, that it costs about 60,000 rupees. We cannot purchase it. By seeing this, I thought I have an engineering background. That's why I thought, why don't we use this Foley's catheter? Then there are Foley's catheter which do have a cylindrical valve. We can use Foley's catheter. Advantages are it is economical and patient friendly, easily available. Then spherical valve to cylindrical valve. If anyone is having any connection with the manufacturers, Why don't we manufacture? Well, ISMBM is ready to invest that. We can manufacture cylindrical bulbs so that we can put the Foley's catheter inside the vagina and expand it. It looks like a pelvis. Then it functions like a pelvis. Then normal vagina. I will ask the patient to take this Foley's catheter and try to, first of all I am giving the earbud or the swab stick. Then after I will ask her to put this Foley's catheter inside the vagina. Okay, how to start? Rapport is must. If you are going to directly start inserting the Foley's catheter, no one will insert. Then let the male partner stimulate the clitoris, which we are following. Doctor can insert earbud into the vagina, convince the couple, now this thing is gone. It is there inside the vagina. Then clitoral stimulation can be done with this sort of equipment also. It is easily available in the market. Then after, give her the catheter, let her touch it. She will feel that it's a rubber piece only. Then convince her it will not injure the vagina at all. Then after, ask her to insert it into the vagina. She may touch the vaginal orifice, but never insert it. Now we have to go to tricky procedure. Let me do that. Let me try. Okay. Then, in most cases, assistance from the doctor is required for vaginal insertion. It is a tricky procedure. It will go inside automatically. If the husband, that male partner is continuously stimulating the clitoris, she will agree this insertion of the Foley's catheter. Then once the catheter is inserted inside the vagina, you can give preloaded 10 ml syringe to this couple. Then let them inflate and deflate for several times. The bulb is spherical, we don't have the cylindrical bulb. Then the amount of water can be increased to 20 ml, 30 ml, 60 ml. After 60 ml, this thing may burst. So up to 60 ml is safe. That means I am talking about 18 gauge Foley's catheter. Stop when she complains. She will feel that something is inside. Okay. Then stop inflating the bulb when she complains. Come back to 10 ml. Inflate the bulb with the 10 ml. Ask the patient to remove the catheter from the vagina. Then she can remove it. Show the size of the bulb. Now she is seeing the bulb. Now she is convinced that something is gone inside. So she is happy. Then after, the procedure can be repeated with the 20 ml, 30 ml, 40 ml as far as possible. There will be a condition in which she is not able to pull back the catheter. So what happens? In most cases, bleeding occurs at that time. Then, now the patient is convinced that the bleeding does not harm her. Then pervaginal examination can be performed by the doctor at this point. So, bleeding is there, we can put the finger. Then, provide the couple room for them, let the male partner insert finger in the vagina. In most cases, the couple can do finger insertion. We can allow them a week time. Let them practice the procedure from their house. Few couples can perform intercourse. Then, the same procedure can be repeated to the patient visiting with unconsummation. Then, gas dilators can be used. After completing this Foley's catheter procedure, then after dildo can be used. Then, advantages of the couple room. You must take the advantage. If you are sending the patient to their house, they will not do any procedure. Advantage of the couple room that all sexual medicine practitioners must have a couple room. You must have, you can allow them to do intercourse there. Okay. Then spectatorship we should not do. In some cases, spectatorship may be required. Even though with the proper consent and with the last choice, we should not regularly do it at all. So, here I am stopping. Now, Dr. Mary will explain about the case of one postgraduate doctors. They have married 7.5 years back. Then we did the same procedure. Now they are consummated and they are having a kid.
So what happened was, we often say that, am I audible?
Yes.
We often say that sexual education can come in mostly in people who have less academic background. But the thing is that even though that is the possibility, that is the in most cases, there are also cases seen where the couple are, or the patients are so much educated. Even this couple, the 9 years unconsummated marriage couple, was actually, they had done their post-graduation and they were currently working. They were both doctors. They know the human anatomy. They know it very well, even before, that is better than layman. Still, the female partner is confused whether the penetration will cause harm to her, whether there will be bleeding. So what we did was, we first counseled the couple, and as we have shown, there was for only one session we did clitoris stimulation only, so that the patient was able to, the first stage she was severe, the vaginismus was severe because in the first stage she didn't even allow us to touch the vulva. So in the first stage only we were trying to touch the vulva, and she was so resistant. She pulled her husband's hair, and she was resisting very highly. And in the first session, we tried to gain access to the vulva. Then the second stage, we tried clitoris stimulation. And it took actually 9 sessions. Yes, sir?
Yeah, 9 sessions.
It took 9 sessions. That is, first session of vulval touching only, second session of clitoris stimulation. We had to go for 2 sessions of clitoris stimulation, and then later, with only little finger, I used to insert the finger, then later with Foley's catheter, and then later with dilators. So it's a matter of education. Even when we say that, even if you know all the anatomy, even if you know all about the brain, still there are chances when the patient comes to you with these anxiety issues.
Whether it is IAS or IPS, MBBS or MD or FRCP, vaginismus can occur. Okay.
Thank
Now,
you everyone.
Thank you very much. See, we are running short of time. That's why one more program is there.
Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mary. You have 2 minutes?
Yeah,
Sir, of course. So, if you don't mind, I would like to stand in between. Please, Harry. I will divide my comment into 3 parts, sir. Listen, for you.
Yeah.
Past, procedure and presentation. You have heard the name of Wardell Pomeroy? Anybody? Who was he? See, he was Kinsey's associate. So for the boys and girls he has written a book, and for the girls he has written, when his daughter, she came into the Minarchy, he brought a cake and flowers. Even south I heard that people say Rutuvati, and it is being, that festival is, So I was feeling very great. Okay, I would like to, my children, my 2 daughters, when they grew up, I wanted to make a book for them, I'm running here and there, and suddenly I realized they have already grown. Now they had more than two children. This was the first incident. 1986, I was in the scientific committee of Heidelberg. And in Heidelberg, from here to this distance, in the morning, we were going 8 o'clock, early morning. So I was standing, there was a lady, elderly lady and a young girl. They were standing there. So the moment they stopped, I also stopped because there was a red signal. Now India would have run because there was nothing, no traffic. Wait, green signal, they walked in. I also. Then I became friendly and they were coming to the conference, 8 World Congress. I just asked them one thing, who are you? She said, she's my granddaughter and I'm a grandmother. Dr. R.P. Sunawala, you must have heard gynecologist, he delivered his own daughter. He said, there cannot be better than this. And today I am seeing the history over here. I was thinking in 2005 that when this day will come in my country, and in a psychiatric conference, 56th annual conference, I said in a keynote address, sexuality past, present and future. I said one thing, okay, let the sex come out of the closet, and I'm seeing today that it has come out of the closet. So big round of applause to them. This is the past which I said. No, let me do it. Now I just in my mind. I remember when I say past, I cannot forget Dr. Vatsa and Dr. J.V. Bhatt and Prabhu. Vatsa had done similar thing. he will take a bird, put in a xylocaine. First, he will show the lady, just see that how you can contract and other thing, with a mirror. And many women, they have not seen that private part. In fact, one of the top, they had come with a non-consummation of marriage. When I asked her to see herself and take a bath without a cloth, next day she cried and she said, I have never seen my body. These are the type of realities over there. So with one, small little, earbud, he said, put a xylocaine and do it. And then they said with the fingers. But when you say with the fingers, you must say that nail should be cut, it should be washed, and there should not be any infection. Dr. J.V., but how many of you know him? What was his unique feature?
He was very friendly.
Not only that, more than that, he was very jovial, He said in a joint family to keep dilators, it's very, very difficult. Sasu dekh legi, nanan dekh legi. The best thing is bring different colors of the candles. So green, red, smaller, birthday candles, and it is a larger size. So they will think, hey, wo hai. The best part, tell them to introduce after putting some condom or something. Third, it will not go because the thread is there. So you can catch it and bring it out. And during your birthday, you can light the source thing. So this was the thing which he had said. And the best thing, I think, before that, one last one, see, for a sexologist, as I said, I could not do for my daughters. My elder daughter and younger son, there is a distance of 11 years. After Gavaskar, this is my record. So I told, when my son came, he was in second, third standard, Papa, मैं कहाँ से आया? I said, what a great day for a father. Being a sexologist, I took out 2-3 books, made diagram and explained him everything. कि बेटा ऐसे ऐसे होता है. Papa, all these things I know. मुझे इतना जानना है, मेरा एक फ्रेंड कोचिंग से आया, दूसरा मैसूर से आया और तीसरा अहमदाबाद, तो मैं कहाँ से आया हूँ? That is what it is. And remembering all of them, I think it was a very, very wonderful presentation, Mary. Hats off to you, the way in which you said, And today morning, what I said, same thing she has repeated one line. Close end question and open end. Because I said that every word which I said was itself a workshop. You go and try out when you go back on Monday. Try to get a open end question and close end question. If I asked Dr. Murugan, do you masturbate? He said, no, that means this session is gone. But I said, look, Dr. Murugan, lot of people of your age masturbate. What is the way in which you masturbate and how do you masturbate? He cannot answer in yes or no. So she said, when I was doing my first survey of sexual medicine in 1980, I asked all the ladies, and they said, we don't masturbate. What is masturbation? We do not know. One lady, very brilliant, Dr. Asha Bakaria, reluctantly said, one of my patients said that she masturbates, not she. So I think that's very thing. I think they require a big round of applause, and please stand up and give them a standing ovation. I would say, wonderful, wonderful. And lastly, Madam, one thing, I may not be knowing, but one of the side effect or complication of buttocks is there can be vagina, rectal fistula or something. One case had happened, doctor from Kokilaben, he said that, and I was shocked. I said, if that happens, then it can be worse. He said, Dr. Jumani is not here, otherwise he and myself were shocked to hear that. But all of you, I think whatever you have been doing, do this. This is we are open to go to the, as it is being said in Gita, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So whatever you are doing, please go ahead. Thank you very much, friends.